I am Reed, just a normal 27-year-old guy talking about building wealth and getting your life together in your 20s. So everyone buzzing about Coastfire these days, this mythical land where your money just like magically grows itself and you can finally ditch your soul, crushing 9 to 5 and go chase butterflies or whatever. It sounds amazing, right? Almost too good to be true because it often is. I am going to be blunt here. Most people who talk about Coastfire are just fantasizing. They not actually doing the brutally boring, incredibly consistent work required to get there. And even fewer understand what to do once they supposedly arrived. I hit Coastfire by 27. Not because I am a genius or some kind of crypto bro who got lucky. I am just a normal dude. I went to a normal school, got a normal job, and invested in the most numbingly boring, stable assets you can imagine. But I was relentless. I was brutally diligent with my money throughout my entire 20s. And that, my friend, is the only cheat code that actually works. This isn't about some fancy algorithm or a secret stock tip. It is about the relentless, unsexy grind of saving and investing year after year until the math simply can ignore you anymore. Coastfire is a destination. It is a strategic pit stop, a calculated move to buy yourself options, to shift from working for money to having your money work for you, allowing you to then work on things that actually matter to you, even if they pay less, because you already did the hard part, you built the foundation, and now you have the ultimate luxury choice. Now, let us get one thing straight. Coastfire does not mean you can retire, not yet anyway. It means you've accumulated enough in your investment accounts that, if you never added another dollar, that money would still compound into a significant sum by traditional retirement age, giving you financial independence later in life. Without further contributions, it is like setting a slow, burning fuse. You light it now, walk away, and trust that it will eventually reach the dynamite, but you still have to walk away. It frees you up to pursue lower paying, more flexible, or simply more fulfilling work, without the constant pressure of needing every dollar for your future. For me, this meant ditching a high-paying but incredibly dull insurance job, and pivoting into things I actually cared about, like making these videos, working on my own software projects, and traveling. It gave me freedom, real freedom, to choose my battles, to take calculated risks, to explore passions that a corporate cubicle would never allow. This isn't about instant gratification, it is about delayed gratification on steroids. It is about playing the long game while everyone else is chasing the next shiny object. So, how do you actually get to Coastfire? Ideally before you hit 30. Because, let us be real, your 20s are your prime time. For this, your biggest advantage isn't some mystical investment strategy. It is time. The compounding effect is your best friend, and the earlier you start, the more brutally effective it becomes. If you play your cards right in your 20s, you can set yourself up for an insane amount of freedom in your late 20s, your 30s, and beyond. And for those of you already past your 20s, don't despair, it is never too late to start. You can realistically achieve this in 5 to 10 years with focused effort. Let us break down the cold hard steps first. Let us define Coastfire in a little more detail. It is a branch of the FIRE movement, financial independence. Retire early. A philosophy I've been obsessed with since my early 20s. I used to binge YouTube videos on this topic, absorbing every morsel of information. The core idea is simple, brutally simple. You live as cheaply as humanly possible, and then you aggressively invest every spare penny for years. You do this until your investments reach a point where they can cover your modest living expenses, allowing you to effectively retire, or at least have the option to. Coastfire takes this a step further. It means you've accumulated enough that the money itself will compound into millions for your retirement without you needing to add any more contributions. You can just coast to retirement. It is a psychological game changer. You've done the heavy lifting, the aggressive saving and investing, and now the compounding is doing the hard work for you, freeing you up to choose work that is more enjoyable, less stressful, or simply more aligned with your passions. You don't have to focus on investing a massive portion of your income anymore. That is the key. Once you hit this number, you gain the power to shift into lower paying, more flexible work, or even pursue higher risk ventures you've always dreamed of. The FIRE movement has different levels. Full FIRE means you have enough to completely stop working. Fat FIRE means you have so much money you can live pretty much any life you want. Coastfire is one of the earlier, more achievable milestones, and it is a massive first step towards true financial freedom. So, let us focus on getting there because it is mathematically achievable for anyone willing to put in the work. At its core, the FIRE movement is just a math problem, pure and simple, no magic. No secret sauce, just numbers. You need a concrete goal, a North Star to guide your efforts. First, calculate your basic monthly expenses. Be brutally honest with yourself here. Don't sugarcoat it. Then calculate the difference between your income and your expenses. This is the amount you can invest every month and your mission. Should you choose to accept it, is to make this gap as wide as humanly possible. Every dollar you save and invest now is a soldier fighting for your freedom later. Then, you need to make some reasonable assumptions about how your monthly expenses might grow, how your investments will perform, and what inflation will do. I personally use the Wallet Burst Coastfire calculator. It is not an ad. I just genuinely found it useful. You can plug in your current money, your target retirement age, your current age inflation rates, and your desired income for living, and it will spit out your Coastfire number. For me, I assume $5,000 to $6,000 a month in spending money, and I use pretty conservative stock market returns and inflation rates, because I'd rather be pleasantly surprised than utterly disappointed. Play around with the numbers until you find a target that motivates you, a number that feels real, achievable, and lights a fire under your ass. Coastfire is awesome for several reasons. First, it forces you to build the habit of being cheap, not in a miserly, deprived way, but in a conscious, intentional way. It teaches you that happiness isn't T-bought, it is cultivated. It trains you to save and invest early, building financial discipline that will serve you for the rest of your life. But the main reason Coastfire is truly awesome, and this is why I personally pursued it with such intensity, is that it gives you the freedom to switch into work you actually want to do, even if it means breaking even financially for a while. It is your ticket to chase your dreams without the crushing weight of financial insecurity. I was working for a big insurance company, making a high salary, but I was bored out of my mind, utterly unfulfilled, and I had this epiphany. I don't need to make $12,000 a month doing something I hate. I can now pivot, make $2,000 to $3,000 a month doing something I love, like traveling, building my YouTube channel, or working on my own software projects, and still know that my future is secure. This cushion, this Coastfire number, allowed me to take higher risks I could have even considered before. As long as I break even, I am still on track to have millions by retirement. I no longer need to contribute to retirement, though I still will, because I am not an idiot. But the fact that I don't need to is an incredibly powerful feeling, and I want everyone to experience that level of agency over their lives. So let us lay out a clear roadmap for getting to Coastfire, because the earlier you start, the exponentially better your outcome will be. It is a simple truth that too many people ignore. Step 1, acquire a skill that pays well, teaches you a lot, and allows you to learn and meet interesting people. Income is the absolute first part of this equation. Without a solid income, you are not getting to your number, period, and you can get paid well without a marketable skill. You can learn these skills in various ways. Formal education is still an option, though its importance is waning. Trade schools, boot camps, community colleges, even good old YouTube University can work for some people. For me, I picked a cheap in-state school, got a computer science degree, and learned to code. It is a skill that pays the bills, plain and simple. You don't need to get fancy. Just pick something you are reasonably good at, something you can tolerate doing for a living. If you like solving problems, reading documentation, and prefer minimal human interaction, engineering might be a good fit. But if you are a people person and you despise banging your head against a wall trying to debug code, something like sales or a business degree could be a better path. And this might be controversial, but I wouldn't chase passion right away. Chase leverage. Chase a skill that will earn you serious money, something that will help you build your financial fortress. It is just something to learn, not necessarily something you enjoy every single day, but it pays the bills, gives you valuable skills, and generates the income you need to succeed with Coastfire. There is no way around it. I only reached my number because I was a software engineer, which paid very, very well throughout my 20s, allowing me to save aggressively. Step 2. And this is absolutely critical. Avoid unnecessary debt, like the plague. I understand some debt is necessary, like for education in certain fields or a house if the circumstances are right. Debt can also be a tool for investment. But I am not talking about good debt. I am talking about the destructive, soul-crushing kind of debt. Things to watch out for: paying a fortune for a bad degree. That is a financial death sentence for your independence journey. Make sure your degree has a high return on investment, and make college as cheap as possible through in-state options, scholarships, part-time jobs, whatever it takes. Another major trap is cars. Do not ball out on a car. Do not take on a massive loan. Buy a cheap, reliable car and pay cash for it. If you can, avoid being house poor. I've seen countless people overstretch themselves, buying a house they simply can't afford. That is a decision to postpone until you are more financially stable. It will handicap your freedom potential by locking you into a massive, inescapable payment. Debt will eat away at your investment potential. It will suffocate your ability to invest properly. Only take on debt if it is absolutely 100% necessary. I avoided debt like it was the literal plague, and it paid off handsomely. You can still build credit. You can use credit cards smartly to boost your credit score, but you do not need to take on major debt to do so. That is a lie propagated by institutions that profit from your debt. I've only used credit cards responsibly, and my credit score is almost 800, so don't fall for that nonsense. Step 3, and this is closely tied to Step 2, be cheap in general, relentlessly cheap. Income is one part of the equation, but if you make $150,000 a year, it means absolutely nothing. If you can save a single penny, your savings rate is king. Here are some of the things I did to be aggressively cheap in my 20s. I lived with roommates. I lived with my parents for a time. My rent was minimal most of the time. I never inflated my lifestyle. I wasn't buying dumb things to impress people who frankly don't care. Especially when you are young, there is a certain unspoken allowance for being cheap, so embrace it. There is no need to buy designer clothes or the latest gadgets when you should be funneling every spare dollar into your investments. Also, sneaky money drains like alcohol from both a physical and financial perspective. Subscriptions you don't use, overpriced meals, constantly eating out, these are things you can cut today, and honestly, you should have cut them yesterday. Of course, enjoy yourself once in a while, but maintain a cheap lifestyle wherever possible, because this allows you to invest more, and investing more translates directly into getting to your freedom sooner. It is a simple, undeniable truth, finally, and this is the big one. Take that difference between your income and your expenses and invest it consistently, relentlessly into long-term stable assets. Now, I am not a financial advisor. I am just a guy who saved and invested his way to over $400,000 in his 20s. So here are some of the strategies that worked for me. Number one, I use tax-advantaged accounts wherever humanly possible. Because taxes are a silent killer of your gains, I was a massive fan of 401ks, company matches, Roth IRAs, HSAs, all of it. Use every single one of them if they re-available to you. And then I also had an individual taxable account for anything beyond that. I wasn't chasing get-rich-quick schemes. Every time I dabbled in something like that, I was far more likely to get burned than to make any meaningful money. So eventually, I just stopped, and I turned completely to long-term, stable investments. I have a rule for myself. I don't buy a stock. I don't make an investment, unless I plan on owning it for 5 years plus. Most of my money is in broad market ETFs and mutual funds. I am not gambling. I am investing. I am building a system that pays me dividends, that grows steadily, and that will support me in the future. This is absolutely huge. If you can consistently get a 7 to 10% return on your money, you'd be absolutely shocked at how much that can add up in 5 to 10 years. Especially if you get yourself into a position where you can invest thousands of dollars every single month. That is the ideal place to be. That is where the magic truly happens. Now, for a bonus step, one, I truly regret not taking more seriously sooner. Start side hustles. I truly didn't start taking side hustles seriously until I was 27, and now I have freelance clients, a YouTube channel that generates income, and I do consulting work. There are so many things I wish I had started sooner. Things I totally could have done, but I didn't. Instead, I stayed home and scrolled aimlessly on social media. Don't be like past me. Just the process of starting and running these side hustles will teach you an incredible amount. It will make you a better communicator, a better problem solver, and it will set you up for greater stability by diversifying your income streams. It is a fantastic way to learn, to grow, and to accelerate your financial journey. So I highly recommend starting yourself. Employment journey, maybe even before you are actually fully self-employed. Dipping your toes in, experimenting, learning, failing, and trying again. In summary, the math is undeniable. If you can get into a situation where you possess a high-paying skill, maintain a ridiculously cheap lifestyle, and consistently invest thousands of dollars every month, you can reach your Coastfire number within 5 to 10 years. The math simply doesn't lie. Now, some people are naturally heavy spenders, others are naturally frugal. I am definitely on the cheaper end of the spectrum. But regardless of your natural inclination, you need a plan for once you reach Coastfire. What are you going to do next? What are you truly passionate about? What kind of impact do you want to make? What fires you up to get out of bed in the morning? For me, it is these projects.